The thoughts and opinions of Skylar Sylvie expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Grimm Times podcast or Jeff Jarman. Thank you and enjoy the show. All right, hello and welcome to the Grimm Times podcast. This is a special episode, unnumbered, unrated, everything. This is the special Grimm Times thing, basically. Anyway, I'm here. I'm Jeff Jarman of the Jeff Jarman Show from YouTube fame. And Skylar Sylvie, my co-host, is on the other end of the world. Go ahead.
Herpes.
That's his contribution so far. And we're also joined by another special guest, Christy, who is here with me in studio.
Hello. How's it going?
And she is my current girlfriend. And we have actually a special announcement for tonight. Basically, I took her out to eat at her favorite restaurant, and then it was just getting dark.
McDonald's?
Not McDonald's. We went to the Olive Garden, which, you know, that's her favorite, so it's fine with me, whatever.
Okay, I'm sorry. That place sucks.
Thanks a ton.
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying, I just don't like Olive Garden. Just saying. Okay.
You're a Red Lobster guy,
That's why
I know.
it's not your favorite place to eat.
Exactly.
But, yeah, so we went there, and then we went up on the mountain, and it was just getting dark, and...
There's a mountain at Olive Garden?
No, outside of town.
Oh.
Well, barely outside of town. It's all pretty much connected now, but we went up on Lower Gold Camp Road here in Colorado Springs, and at night it's really cool because it overlooks pretty much the whole city, and so all those city lights in the background. And I proposed to Christy for marriage.
No way!
Skylar already knows, so he is being himself. And so we went up on the mountain. I proposed in front of the city lights and everything. It was pretty romantic and cool and all that stuff. And we actually recorded it as well. I have it on video. So, well, for the actual proposal, it was dark, so I had to use a light. So you'll have to bear with me if anyone ever sees the video anyway. And I proposed and she said yes. So
Don't worry, it'll go viral in Spain.
Yeah, maybe.
Spain.
I'd be okay with it going viral anywhere, really. So, yeah, we are engaged now and all that fun stuff. But we just wanted to open up the podcast with that little announcement. And,
Okay, I just gotta say this.
Yeah.
And you know, I always thought this would be hilarious in my life thought. If a person such as you in the circumstance that you mentioned, if they went through like all that trouble and then the person they asked said no, it'd be classic.
We may use that in a future skit or movie, whatever we happen to be making at the time.
I know. I'm not saying that I would have laughed if she would have said no. I'm just saying that in a general setting for something, it's like a whole for example, a whole movie was based on this guy proposing, and you were led to think that the person would say yes, and at the very end it was just like, no, why would I marry you?
Yeah, that would be. It would be funny for the outside, but heartbreaking for the character. That's for sure.
Well, boo-hoo.
You're so sympathetic.
I'm not sympathetic at all, mainly because I don't even believe in marriage anyway, just to throw that out there.
Yeah.
So that wasn't obvious.
Oh, I've already
prior.
heard all about it.
Yeah. Just real quick, though, give an overview of why you don't believe in marriage, because people from the podcast probably don't know.
Well, without going on too long of a rant about it, before I'm going to clarify here. I don't disagree with the concept of marriage, the concept being the ceremony and the insulting, thing of like promising in front of like hundreds of people, whatever. I don't disagree with that concept.
Right.
Although I disagree at the point of me having to justify myself in front of a whole bunch of people. But besides that point, I don't disagree with that too much. What I do disagree with is like whenever I have to sign a piece of paper to the government and then I have to justify it not only to the government but them having knowledge of it. And not just because of our government. I mean any government, any place, anywhere. It's none of their business. So, and another thing is, people make way too big of a deal out of marriage, in my opinion, to my mind, all marriage is a piece of paper and a couple rings.
Well, yeah, I mean, the
That
government has way too much control over it. That's for sure.
I mean, what happened in the good old days? Whenever a guy wanted to get married, he went to his wife's house in the cave and hit her on the back of the head with a club, and ta-da, they're married.
And drug her back to his cave. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
then the song in the background was "Let's Get It On." I mean, perfect.
Yep.
Very romantic.
All right. Well, let's head on to the main topic for
Sounds
this
like a
podcast.
Geico commercial.
Yeah, a little bit. I could see that. The caveman from that. So we'll move on to the main topic here. This little podcast is going to be basically covering what it's like to move away from home for the first time. We're all pretty young here doing the podcast. I'm 24. Christy is
what?
19. She's
12.
about to be 20 pretty
I'm
soon.
not 12, thank you.
And Skylar over there is also 24. So.
I'm 12.
So,
And
I act like it anyway.
So we've all recently moved away from home. Skylar's been to Marshfield for a while. He left his home. I moved out to Colorado. Christy is also as well. And let's also discuss what it's like to have friendships from home at the new place, wherever you end up living. Things like that. How friendships are affected. How sometimes you realize who is your friend and who isn't your friend based on how often you stay in contact. I mean, not always saying that if you lose contact, they're a bad person, but the friendship may not have been. Well, the friendship may not have been as strong as you would have liked to believe beforehand. So I'm going to turn it over to Christy real quick and just let her give her thoughts on what it was like since she's been moved away. And do you miss people? Do you miss your family? I mean, obviously you would, but what friends do you miss, and what does it seem like? What has it been like since being away?
honestly, at first I was excited to get away from my parents. Kind of the whole freedom! Yay! But then, I don't know, the more I get into it, the more having to pay for all my own things, having to, live off of hot dogs and chips and frozen pizza.
Frozen pizza's all me.
Yeah, frozen pizza and hot dogs would be all you eat given a chance.
Not to mention human flesh. Can't forget that one.
Oh no, of course not.
You can keep it perfectly preserved in Colorado on top of the mountain peak.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure. Other than that, I mean, you kind of start to miss your parents, but then they come visit, and you're like, all right, well, goodbye, back to Missouri.
Basically, it's just you want to be around your relatives, but in smaller doses for some reason. I mean, I don't know. It happens to everybody. They can't get along with their parents as well if they're living with them all the time
I
when
think
you get older.
some people are better at a distance, because when I moved out here, I started to be a little bit better friends with a couple of my friends in Humansville. But then, as time goes on, things change. I don't think I've had a text message from any of my Missouri friends in I don't know how long. Except for Alyssa, she texts me frequently. But, apparently Brittany's back in Missouri. She's been in Texas since summer of last year. And I had no idea until Stevie posted a picture of it on Facebook. So, they never talked to me.
And these were like your closest friends?
Oh yeah, in high school they were my quote-unquote best friends. So,
Yeah, things change, life happens, people move on, and if you don't care enough to really keep that contact with that person, then, it's just that. Like Skylar, you and I, we didn't even talk that much in high school, but once we graduated, we just had similar interests, and we've kept in contact since 2008 solidly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Skylar, have you had any friends sort of like that? I mean, that...
Besides yourself, two pretty much, one more than the other, but yeah.
Yeah.
There was one that I met actually in Fairgrove when I moved there when I was 18. Lived with my mother at that time. And I met her around that time period, and then at this time, her and my sister were debatable best friends, but then they kind of drifted apart, and we just continued talking. And yeah, but then the other one, I went to like Cub Scouts with when I was like little, really like a little kid, um, and come to find out, and then basically we didn't talk for multiple years because, well, he was 2 grades below me. Then at one point, I think we ended up being in similar classes or in same classes, and well, realized that he basically turned into almost a carbon copy of myself to
Huh.
a less extreme degree. So, uh, depending on your area, if you're talking about music, he's way more extreme with music than I am. But as far as getting away from home, or moving away from home and places and missing stuff and whatever. Yeah, pretty much. Where I live at, I've lived about 23, no, but 22 years of my 24 years of existence on this earth.
Yeah.
So I pretty much, even though it wouldn't have that homesick issue, um, but
Well, I
the
remember I remember when you moved, you said that you almost felt guilty for leaving, or that you didn't, feel safe leaving certain people home alone by themselves, and so that almost made you want to come back.
Right, it did. But the optimism of getting a job, blah blah blah. At that moment in time was pushing me forward to stay where I was for that whole year I was gone in Marshfield. So uh, in the end, it came down to basically me going to prison for murder or me leaving.
Yeah, so I take it wasn't really a great situation that you moved out into.
No, my roommates were driving me absolutely mad. Plus, I mean, it was just there was a whole sorts of other issues involved too. But without going too deeply into it, but the thing
Yeah.
is that yeah, I mean, it's terrible. You miss whatever, blah blah blah. You know, and but the fact of the matter is, back to the friends thing. In my absolute belief, if you talk to them at any point, irrelevant is whether or not you move or whatever, if they don't contact you back or remain in any kind of contact whatsoever, then they're really not friends at all, or at least not very good ones. They're just stupid people or acquaintances or whatever. I mean, they're just not.
Worth it.
I look at, yeah, they're not worth it. I have a very kind of black and white perspective on this because I've met a lot of people throughout my lifetime I would have wished to be a little closer friends with, but didn't have the ability to, or was stunted, or they by either them or life. So I just decided to long since forget about it and go whatever. I had a friend that I grew up with almost my entire life, and then in the end, he turned out to be somebody that I wish that I hadn't been friends with. So to begin with, and that made me feel really guilty because the person I remembered or whatever wasn't the same exact person that that person was. So it
And
was kind of like almost like a Darth Vader thing. Kind of. It was like Anakin Skywalker when we were growing up, but then he turns into Vader, except fatter.
oh yeah. Well, I was gonna say I think I know who you're talking about, but then if he's fat, then I guess that's not the same person that we're thinking of. But yeah, I
If you're thinking about cow fucker, then no.
uh oh oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. No, I'm not talking about him. Um, so yeah, I know one guy who we were both friends with, Skylar, and that guy he was a long term friend in school, and then toward the end there we just kind of faded apart because he got in with a different crowd, and you and me, Skylar, we were always kind of the hermits of the bunch, and so he got in this way, and then you talked to him more than I do recently.
I don't know who you're talking about.
You're killing me. Sorry, everybody. We just
Uh,
spoke off air about this, and now he's trying to play hardball with me.
yeah, hardball. That doesn't sound wrong at all. But anyway, Yeah, he just got into way too many drugs and associated with the wrong douchebags. So
Basically,
it's
what made me the most irritated is he chose the current friends over the ones that he's had long term and the ones who didn't do those kinds of things. And I don't know.
I don't know. I think he was too open minded for his own good.
Yeah, could be. I mean, that could have been his downfall. But
Yeah. People criticize narrow-minded people all day long, but a narrow-minded person who's narrow-minded against something will not do that something if it's a bad something.
I
An
most
open-minded person will be like, "Is that Clorox or Coke?
yeah yeah
I don't care," and then
yep
sniff either one.
pretty much yeah. So Christy,
uh,
let me bring Christy in here real quick. What has it been like? You're
on
living with
drugs.
you're living with me now rather than going to a college where you would live in a dorm and you would have the typical college experience. Do you think it's worth it to be with out on your own in your own duplex and doing your own thing, or would you rather have been in a tiny college dorm, having that college party experience?
Okay, that's a horrible question.
Why is that a horrible question?
That's a terrible question. That's like a trap question. It
Not
really is.
not
You're
really.
saying which one what do you like better? The
Being
college
with me
dorm or the
or
guy who just proposed to you?
well, she can answer honestly here.
Sometimes I'm a homey person. I want to make everything look like those houses on TV. So, I mean, sometimes I would rather have gone to a college where I live in a dorm so I get to decorate it and everything.
It's
But
just a box though, it's not a home.
thank you for interrupting me.
Sorry.
Anywho, but at the same time, well, on a different level, I guess I'm definitely much happier the way I am because I feel like I was living in a dorm with my parents, which was terrible. But I don't really care for the party life. It's not me. I'm a lightweight. I don't like many of the alcohols that I've actually tried anyway, so it doesn't really bother me not having the whole college scene. I went to a smaller, more, not really a private college, but just a smaller group of people that were actually all wanting to, get their careers on track instead of party all the time. So I definitely enjoy being in the duplex, doing my own thing, having my own things, not having a retarded roommate besides my cat.
Okay, so but today, not like in general, but today you don't feel like you'd want to go to a dorm, right?
No, not even. It would
Okay,
be way too much of a downgrade. It'd be way too little space, too many people.
You'd have no privacy, would you?
No, not at all, from what I
see
understand.
exactly. I think she's only saying this because the proposal.
No, no.
We've talked about this
I
before, even beforehand. That's kind of why I brought it up, though.
uh-huh.
But yeah,
Kyle.
We're wrapping up here in the final few minutes. Was there
Shh,
anything
shh, shh,
else
shh.
that you wanted to add to it, Skylar?
Oh, yeah, there is these giant unicorns in the sky the other day, and they were speaking to me.
How about you, Christy? Did you
And
have anything?
I saw this cloud that looked like Batman.
All right. Well, my name is Jeff Jarman. I'm going to wrap up the podcast here for my co-hosts and co-host and guest. Um, so
I'm your
basically,
fiance, not your guest. Thank you.
yes, my fiance.
burn.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think what we're basically saying is that moving away is good. It's healthy, but you can't forget the ones that you love and all that kind of stuff. And then as far as friends go, you really need to stay in contact if you are really wanting to be true friends who actually know things about each other and want to have that support there for you. So I mean that's why I have such a small number of friends. I mean I've got three, I don't know, something like that. But yeah, I mean that's just how it goes in life. People change, people grow apart. So it's hard to say. But anyway, I am Jeff Jarman of the Jeff Jarman Show on YouTube. Check us out. My co-host, for my co-host Skylar Sylvie, and for my fiance Christy Locke. We will see you next time on the Grim Times podcast. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to this episode. Olive Garden. Just saying. Okay.
You're a Red Lobster guy.
That's why
I know.
it's not your favorite place to eat.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we went there, and then we went up on the mountain, and it was just getting dark, and
There was a mountain at Olive Garden.
no, outside of town.
Oh.
Well, barely outside of town. It's all pretty much connected now. But we went up on of the Jeff Jarman Show from YouTube fame, and Skylar Sylvie, my co-host, is on the other end of the world. Go ahead.
Herpes.
That's his contribution so far.
To the world.
And we're also joined by another special guest, Christy, who is here with me in studio.
Hello. How's it going?
And she is Lower Gold Camp Road here in Colorado Springs. And at night, it's really cool because it overlooks pretty much the whole city, and so all those city lights in the background. And I proposed to Christy for marriage.
No way.
Skylar already knows, so he is being himself. And so we went up on the mountain. I proposed in front of the city lights and everything. It was pretty romantic and cool and all that stuff. And we actually recorded as my current girlfriend. And we have actually a special announcement for tonight. Basically, I took her out to eat at her favorite restaurant, and then it was just getting dark.
McDonald's?
Not McDonald's. We went to the Olive Garden, which, you know, that's her favorite, so it's fine with me, whatever.
Okay, I'm sorry. That place sucks.
Thanks a ton.
Yeah, well,
I'm just saying, I just don't like.
the thoughts and opinions of Skylar Sylvie expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Grimm Times podcast or Jeff Jarman. Thank you and enjoy the show. All right, hello and welcome to the Grimm Times podcast. This is a special episode, unnumbered, unrated, everything. This is the special Grimm Times thing, basically. Anyway, I'm here. I'm Jeff Jarman.